Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Don't you guys find it amazing how the loudest people in the room always seem to be the most uninformed? You know, the people with the biggest shows, the biggest reach, the ones presented by the big media companies as being the definitive authority on all issues, how so many of them prove themselves to be completely ignorant time and time again. We live in an era where top political commentators on TV don't even bother learning the basic facts anymore. They don't seem to do even the most basic of research or reading past the headline. No, instead all they do is show up and just parrot whatever their scriptwriters are giving them. And like I've said previously, nobody embodies this phony, hollow brand of punditry more than Bill Maher. We've been talking about this for years. Time and time again, Bill Maher proves himself ignorant. And well, he just proved it yet again. I mean, this time probably definitively. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright, so yes, I know you're thinking, didn't I just last week give Bill Maher a bunch of credit? Well, I wouldn't say a bunch of credit, but I certainly did give him credit for finally acknowledging at least the basic truth about Donald Trump. But that doesn't mean that I flipped on him. It doesn't mean that I suddenly think that Bill Maher is a sharp political mind that should be respected in the space. No, not at all. And let me make this crystal clear. Bill Maher is and always has been a smug, lazy, uninformed DNC mouthpiece. You know, the guy talks a big game about being a truth teller, and he certainly presents himself as being very intelligent and highly educated. I'm pretty sure he went to Yale and he loves to remind us of that. But the second that you pull the curtain back, it's obvious that he's another overpaid clown who doesn't even do the basic homework. And case in point, his embarrassing discussion with Charlie Kirk, where he totally fumbled the entire Kilmargo Garcia case.
So you mean that Maryland case is what you're talking about, right?
The guy who they
the
said,
MS-13 member?
There's no evidence that they did not present evidence. I don't really want to get into the weeds on this one because I got to do it on my show Friday. The Supreme Court, I guess we have to get into the weeds. You know,
there's even new evidence in the last couple of hours that I don't. You lead the conversation. You tell me how deep you want to go on it.
None. But the Supreme Court...
There's even new evidence in the last couple of hours.
I mean, the Bill of Rights, it's pretty clear that you can't just disappear people without any sort of trial. And deportation is not the same thing as sending someone to a prison.
But you are allowed to deport under the Alien Enemies Act.
Correct.
Someone who is part of a recognized terrorist organization, which MS-13 is pretty close to a terrorist organization.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're bending all these words.
And he's not an American citizen. We got to acknowledge that.
No, absolutely not.
So that's important.
But he wasn't here illegally either.
No, he was.
Illegally.
Yeah, the Maryland man. As long as we're not talking about two different cases.
We're talking about Garcia.
Yes,
yeah.
He was an illegal immigrant to the country.
I thought he was waiting for asylum.
Well, you could be illegal waiting for asylum.
I see. Okay, good.
No, but the edge is... So there's three ways you can deport people. It could be the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. It can be
used only 3 times.
That's fine, but hey, look, and you quote the First Amendment all the time. That's from 1787, right? So old things are important.
I mean, that was like watching somebody try to explain a movie they never actually saw. He starts off with, there's no evidence that Kilmar was MS-13. Really? It's so obvious this guy doesn't even know how to use the internet. No, he's probably still subscribed to the New York Times and waits for it to show up at his doorstep. And then he just skims through it, reads the headlines, and then formulates all his opinions. No evidence? There was a trusted, confidential human source that identified Kilmar as an MS-13 member, part of a Western clique where he held the rank Chekeo and went under the moniker Chele. He has MS-13 gang tattoos, at least suspected MS-13 gang tattoos, on his left knuckle. And let's just say the doubt around the perception of those tattoos is becoming less and less considering his wife seems to be covering up the tattoos in almost every photo. It's not just that one photo in the mirror now, but now others. Then, of course, we've got the fact that he was arrested with MS-13 gang members in gang territory, wearing gang-associated clothing, and let's not forget that he was part of a suspected human smuggling operation and lied to officers when he was pulled over. But for some reason, Bill Maher missed all of that. He is the laziest person in the political commentary sphere. I've been saying this forever. He never knows what's going on. He figures out basic stuff, in some cases months or years after it happens. So many instances we've covered in the past where somebody mentions something on his show or in interaction with him during his podcast, and he goes, oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that happened. And it's like this big thing that we spoke about 6 months ago, but Bill Maher just now is getting slapped in the face with reality. But anyways, let's continue talking about this Charlie Kirk moment. The next ignorant statement, he says that Kilmar was legally in the country. Wrong. And he also claims that Kilmar was, well, in the middle of an asylum application. False. He was already denied. He was ordered deported. And honestly, it's not even like that's relevant, because under the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, the president has the full authority to deport him because he was deemed as a threat to national security due to the court confirmation that he was an MS-13 member, an active MS-13 member. This guy is totally clueless. And it's obvious that he didn't want to go into detail on this because he's completely ignorant, and he used the excuse, well, I don't want to go into too much detail about this topic because I'm doing a show on Friday. What's the implication? That he didn't want to give spoilers on his podcast to the segment he was doing on Friday? Give me a break. He was using that as an excuse. And it's obvious that, yeah, he's probably doing a show on Friday, but he has nothing to do with it, nothing to do with the preparation.
None.
He couldn't cite a single relevant detail of the case. Just guessing, pulling stuff out of his behind. This guy's been coasting on smugness for 25 years, while his team of writers do all the heavy lifting. He simply reads the script and smirks at the audience, and then pats himself on the back. You know, it's crazy. It's like reality versus what's presented on TV. When this guy discusses these concepts and stories and ideas during his show, he's got such a smug, arrogant, self-righteous sort of aura and tone about him. He presents himself dressed all nice and, oh, he's the real smart guy who did a bunch of documentaries. He's the big brain atheist liberal thinker. You know, he's got this aura as if he's so well read, he's so knowledgeable, he's such a critical thinker, Ivy League educated, but time and time again, it's proven to be all performative. The guy plays a political philosopher on TV, but when it really comes down to it, he knows less than your average intern. And look, I'm not saying he's dumb. I think Bill Maher's a sharp guy, but it's obvious that he's just phoning it in. He doesn't do research, he doesn't read, he doesn't know anything about anything when it comes to these topics. Many of the topics he debates, by the way, he is woefully uninformed, but of course that never stops him from lecturing the rest of us as if he's the modern day political Socrates. Give me a frickin' break. He's not. He's just another lazy elite Hollywood liberal with a studio budget. And that is clear as day. And it's so funny because so many of his viewers think he's like at the cutting edge of information, but he's always behind the trend. And even in the instances where we give him credit, where, oh, Bill Maher's finally come to the realization, you know, he's the only liberal who admits the truth almost each and every single time, he's so late to the party and only does it when he realizes it's hurting his own side. He's not some courageous truth speaker who lives at the cutting edge. He's an ideological coward who only acts brave and challenges the status quo when it's easy. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.